Hey, we're back again, baby.
I might just leave this all in here to
Let's
show
go.
how poorly this has gone for us
This
thus
is
far.
great, dude. Everything is working in our favor at all time.
Oh, man. All right. Well, anyways, we're back with, I actually don't know what episode this is. I want to say it's 8, but I can't recall.
Something like
I think it's 8, episode 8. And we're here to talk about UFC Kansas City. First time in Kansas City in 6 years, I think it was. And it was a good card. It was a good card.
Yo, good crowd. Kansas City. First of all, the announcer said that place was full from the jump. From as soon as the prelim started, like everybody was in their seats. You could hear everybody doing the Ric Flair. Like everybody, they were going crazy like the whole night. It was actually like, seemed like a really fun crowd.
A fun crowd for a fun card with maybe not as big names, but big fights, big fighters, and a lot of action. And we got a lot to cover.
We talk about it all the time with these cards. Like, they might not have all the household names that we're used to, but everybody always shows up to fight on those nights. They always pull out, it seems like. But it was a really great night of fights. Top to bottom.
Yeah, and I think that helps with the crowd too, not being in the apex. You really want to make a name for yourself. So I'm sure that plays into it a little bit, but nonetheless,
Tyler,
exciting fights.
You just cut out like crazy.
Oh, I cut out? You cut out too.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on a struggle bus tonight. Here we go. Oh, where was I? What did you hear last?
We talked about the card being great, top to bottom.
All right, yeah. Let's just get right into it. We have a lot to cover. A lot on the prelims, but we're gonna give a nice warm shout out to Denise Gomez versus Bruna Brazil, something along those lines. What a fight!
Denise Gomes.
Well, I botched both of them.
Now, it threw me off, too, because it looks like Denise Gomez, but it was, I only specifically remember that because it was Denise Gomes. She impressed the hell out of me. She was way the smaller fighter by far. You could tell she's a little rugged. She's got neck tattoos, and she's just like a real rough chick. And Brazil was looking like she really wanted to keep it on the feet, keep it at a distance. Play a technical striking battle, and Gomes just like lit her up, man. She's looking very promising for that strawweight division. Very promising.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great fight. I caught some of it. I actually missed a little bit of it because I was not at my watching, but I caught most of it, and what a great fight. Good prospect, and the women's strawweights are looking up. We have another one that we're going to talk about later on, another women's strawweight that was impressive. But what a division. I mean, at one point there was not much going on in the women's strawweights, but they're deep now and in depth with a lot of talent, a lot of up-and-comers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. That 115, is it's like your average girl, really, right? Like, even girls that walk around at 130, 140 pounds, natural walk around weight, most of them could probably cut to 150. That just seems like that'll be like the deepest division. As we've seen with girls, the 145, there's like nobody there. There's not a whole lot of girls that can cut and still be that heavy. So it seems just like the 115s and the 125s are catching up, and they're more than likely here to stay. They're going to be your marquee divisions.
Yeah, great division. Shout out to Denise Gomes on the phenomenal win. Got that name right, thanks to RJ. Strong prospect, excited to see where she goes. And we're staying right in the strawweights for this next one. We got Jillian Robertson and Piera Rodriguez, which was, I think, 2 fights after that one. Jillian Robertson making her strawweight debut was nothing short of pretty dominant through and through throughout the whole fight.
Super slick. She knew right off the bat her grappling was going to be the thing to get it done, and she didn't hide it. She didn't try to She didn't try to fake it in any way. She said, "This is what I'm doing." She went in there and got it done. We were talking earlier, me and you, Tyler, about that grappling event that just happened recently, like within the last month or so, maybe 2 months, whatever it was. But she subbed Rose Namajunas, and Rose is no punk, and that's got to give you a bit of, like, even though it's a grappling event and not an MMA fight, that's got to give you some confidence to do that to a girl like Rose, because Rose is one of the greatest women's fighters we've ever seen.
Yeah, you said that, and then I didn't realize that Rose grappled Jillian Robertson, so that was a nice surprise. And if my memory serves me correct, I think she got her out of there in a minute.
Quick.
Like, it was quick.
It was quick.
So that's got to be a confidence booster entering strawweight. Slick armbar, little iffy on the finish. It was like a tap, didn't tap, tap, didn't tap.
Yeah, you know something? It looked like a tap to me, and it was one of those. And look, I've been in the situation where you think about tapping, and then maybe it loosens up a little bit, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to try to fight out of this. Look, when her grip first broke, it looked like she tapped right away. Keith Peterson was all over it, and he was like, I'm pretty sure I just seen you tap, but I'm going to, like, give you the benefit of the doubt for 1 second, 2 seconds, right? Then she rolled away from it, fully extending her arm. Her shoulder was locked. She was not getting out of that thing. And then her face winced with pain. The referee stopped it. I have no problem with that stoppage. Whether you tapped or you didn't tap, if you start wincing and you're completely locked out, I mean, I understand all fighters want to, like, go until they can't go anymore, but no nonsense, just saved you 6 months in a cast.
Yep.
He did the right thing, and I don't know. It looked like a tap to me regardless. So
yeah, it did. I mean, I think it was a tap initially, and then it was like, I'll keep going.
She kind of thought about,
at the end of the day, and Keith Peterson is one of the best in the games. I love him when he's judging or refereeing. My bad. So if he didn't stop it, her arm breaks. She's out for months. Can't train. Can't fight.
Not worth it.
You live to see another day.
Yeah, and you weren't getting out of that arm bar. I mean,
it was locked,
fully extended. Like, I had no problem.
From a jiu-jitsu specialist, pretty much, in Jillian Robertson, who probably knows how to break an arm pretty quickly. So shout out Jillian Robertson for a good, spectacular performance, and we'll see where she goes in the strawweights. That was only her first one at strawweight. She's usually pretty active, so I'm assuming she'll be back quick. But yeah, good on Jillian Robertson. Next fight on the list, pretty emotional one afterwards, but Zach Cummings and Ed Herman.
Oh,
what a fight, and what a post-fight. I mean, what more can you say? The hometown boy got it done.
Yeah, it's definitely got to feel good to see, the hometown guy get it done the way he did. It's very emotional when you see these guys. I mean, Ed Herman, I think, is 42. Zach Cummings,
he's in his 40s.
Zach Cummings is in his late 30s. Like, both of these guys have just given so much of their lives to this sport, and to just, like, for them to both go out at the same time with their kids in attendance, and just to say, you know what, we're going to do this thing one last time. We're going to do it together, and then we're both going to tip our hats and, and sail off into the sunset. Like, I think that was pretty cool. And they both looked good, man. Like, they didn't look, I mean, they did look a little bit rusted.
They're both past their primes.
Yeah.
They're both past their primes.
The movements weren't as smooth and flowy. They didn't have, especially, I mean, Zach Cummings was pretty fast. He still looked pretty fast. Ed didn't quite have the reaction speed and the head movement to like really, obviously he's not going to be like a prospect to like go get a title shot, right? But with all that being said, they both like did everything right. You could tell that they're veterans. Like they looked good in there, man. And it's like, it's kind of cool to just see them like do the thing one more time. I do, excuse me. I do wish, like, I kind of didn't want to see the TKO. I hope that they both just beat each other up and whoever wins, wins. I'm happy Zach Cummins got the nod because it was his hometown. But, Ed's a savage. He's been in the UFC as long as I've been a fan of the UFC. And, he's from that old school Team Quest with Randy Couture and Dan Henderson and Chael Sonnen. Like, what a team. And just for him to still be doing it, like the old dog, man, it's pretty cool to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, it was such a fun fight. Zach Cummins did really surprise me with how fast he was coming out the gate. And throughout the whole fight, he kept that speed for the most part. It was a feel-good moment for him to get the TKO in his hometown. But then you feel on the other side for Ed Herman. But at the end of the day, they're both going to ride off into the sunset, like you said, and enjoy the rest of their lives after this UFC whole thing is done. You just hate to see either one lose. It was kind of a feel-bad moment just because you want to see them both win in that situation.
Yeah.
You kind of got the feeling that they were both going to hang it up afterwards, but you didn't really know for sure.
Yeah, and when I tell you what, I wish they would do more fights like that. Like, we don't have to necessarily always kill off the legends with some young dog that they're trying to bring up and build a career off of your name. I would almost prefer them to just, from now on, like, let's get two guys at the tail end of their career just to go in there and, like, nobody, there's a TKO, right? But it's not like anybody's going to get, like, really, really badly hurt, embarrassed. Like, just let them go out, doing it against somebody on their level. Like, I don't have any problem with that. It was actually a fun fight.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, they put on a show.
That was
I don't know what.
Who did they do? Joe Lozon, and it wasn't Cowboy or Jim Miller. It was. They just recently did this where it was like
they did Cowboy and Jim Miller.
That was that.
That's where Cowboy hung it up.
I felt like Joe Lozon had like a Legends fight recently.
I'm trying to think who he fought.
Yeah, I can't place it.
I can't think of it.
Doesn't matter, but like I like that. I wish they would do that more often, instead of having like, like one that comes to mind only because he was on the card, like Chris Curtis, Frankie Edgar, or not Chris Curtis.
Yeah,
Chris
Gutierrez.
Chris Gutierrez. We talked about Chris Curtis last week. Chris Gutierrez and Frankie Edgar. It's like, did you really have to like kill my boy like that? Like, I don't like to see. But if you could get these old guys to get in there and dance one last time with each other, I love that. I hope that becomes a trend.
Let them go out on their shields with another old dog who just wants to finish out their career with some fun. I mean, it's a fight, but if you go against someone who's at your age and you kind of on their way out, have some fun in there.
Absolutely.
So respect to both of those guys. Enjoy retirement, great careers. Always respect for anybody that gets into that cage, but long careers that they had, even more respect. That's the hometown boy getting the win.
Yeah, definitely respect. Anytime anybody gets over 50 professional fights, it's like, damn, dude. Like, you gotta respect.
You've been around.
Yeah, for sure.
So we go from some old dogs finishing out their careers to some young killers in Brandon Royval and Mateus Nicolau.
Yeah.
First off, why is this on the prelims?
Yes.
Hold on a minute. Before we get into this, I got a problem. This fight should never have been on the prelims.
100%, dude. That's the question. Who did they piss off to get stuck in that spot? Because they didn't even headline the prelims. That fight could have been, maybe third or fourth down from the top on the main card, like that's a real deal fight. One of those guys is probably looking at getting a title shot. I mean, that was number 4 and number 5 in the division, I think, or 5 and 6, something in that range.
Top 10, somewhere in the top 10.
Both of them were basically top 5. And it's like, prelims? I don't know. That was a little funky. I wonder what was going on with that. But what a fight, though. Holy smokes.
Brandon Royval, man. What a knee.
Yeah, finished the show quick, man.
Knees were the theme of the night. We got another big knee coming up later, but
yeah,
knees were really lethal last night, and it was just beautifully placed.
Absolutely spectacular placement. Brought it right up, no telegraph, like put him down immediately, followed it up, and you could tell he was, I feel like he did have a little chip on his shoulder, one, because they put him on the prelims, but 2, because I think he's had a little bit of a win streak now, Royval, but he's lost to the 2 guys in the championship picture right now. He lost to Moreno. I think it was a finish loss. I don't know if it was a TKO or a sub. And then he also lost to our boy Pantoja. So it's like, to have those are the guys right now. That's the fight, right? And everybody's gonna make a big stink about that fight, where, he was in there with both of those guys, and he got finished quick in kind of both of them. But this just proves, man. I mean, I think he's won like 3 in a row. Like, he's right there. He wants another crack at either one of those guys, probably both of them. And
I think he's deserving of it.
He 100%.
His resume is he's got a huge resume. Being young, he's beaten guys like Kai Kara France, who's at the top of the division.
Yep.
I don't see why we wouldn't give him a shot. I think they were talking about putting him as a backup weigh-in for the Pantoja Moreno fight, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. What is that now? It's this thing now that everybody's doing because of Colby.
It's been blown out of proportions. I mean, everybody is doing it now. It's just like, if you want a shot, you got to ask to be the backup.
I sort of respect the position of the backup fighter, because it's like, you are making weight and you are saying that you're prepared to fight either one of them. So like, there is a level of respect that I do give for that. But why not call somebody out who's available and speak your claim, like state your claim, like, hey, this is a number 1 contenders fight. Like, I want the next shot. I'm going to beat this guy to get the shot. Like, that is exciting. Saying like, hey man, I'm going to go be the backup fighter. Like, to me, I don't know. I don't know if that gets me as excited. I do respect the position. It just doesn't, like,
absolutely,
it's not like it's different. We've all been to high school, right? In the cafeteria, when you're like, Jimmy and I are going to go fight at the flagpole. Like, all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, shit. Like, it's a big deal when you say someone's name and you call them out, right? So if you're just saying, I want to be the backup, it's like, okay, cool. That's respect to you. But also, like, say someone's name, because then it's going to, like, be personal. Then it's going to, that anxiety and that anxiousness is going to, like, raise up, and everybody's going to be more excited to see it happen. I think that's the blueprint to getting people excited. All you got to do is say a name. There's like 4 fighters that have ever, like, actually figured this out. And it kind of blows my mind.
That was a phenomenal analogy. I just have to point that out. That was one of the best analogies for what the situation is. That was awesome. I didn't know you were going to say that, obviously, but that just blown me away. That analogy, because it's so spot on. Like, if you want to make a name for yourself, call someone out and then go finish them and get the next shot.
Absolutely. That'll have so much more hype behind it.
Yeah. But so if he's the backup, if he's not the backup, or whatever you want to call it, whether or not he fights again before getting a shot, I wouldn't be mad if he gets the shot after this next fight, because he does have the winning streak. He's been entertaining. He's getting finishes. So, I mean, how can you not give him a shot? But if he's the backup, he's the backup, and maybe one of them has to pull out and he jumps in. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, the only other thing going on, it's like escaping my memory, but Figueiredo, I think, got matched up with a 25er. We all thought he was gonna move up, but he got matched up. So, and I think the guy's, I forget his name right now, but I think he's like number 6 or 7, something like that. He's in the top 10. The guy that's fighting Figueiredo. So if we're gonna have to straighten that out and get his name, but if that guy can make a statement against Figueiredo, who obviously just had the quadrilogy with Brandon Moreno, maybe that guy's something to look at as well. So we got a couple players at 125.
Yeah, it's always a loaded division at 125. They're a bunch of killers. The small guys are so quick, and they get finishes. Whether or not you think so, they go out.
They all
kill.
do. Absolutely. If you watch the MMA Hour, right? Shout out to GC Connor, right? He always, his like main bet that he talks about all the time is the flyweight under. He's like, if you're gonna bet on a flyweight fight, take the under 1.5 or the under 2.5. Like, bet that fight will not go the distance because these guys are all finishers.
Yeah, they really are, and it's going to be interesting how it plays out, if like whether or not he gets the backup position, what we see with Figueiredo and the other guy. I feel bad that I don't know his name.
I know, me
I didn't
too.
really I'll put it in here or something.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. Kaikar France isn't matched up right now, I don't think. If my memory serves, I don't recall seeing a fight news on him. So we'll see where he goes. He's top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
The flyweights are always interesting. But Royval put on a show in Kansas City, got it done quick, and really cemented himself as a non-prelim fighter.
Yeah,
he better not be on another prelim.
Nah, man, that was craziness. We got if you're in a top 5, you don't belong that low. And no disrespect to any of the other people on the card, but like, you could have switched some stuff around. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. But what a performance by Brandon Royval. I'm sure Matheus Nicolau will be back, and we'll see where they both go. Excited for the flyweights as always, but let's get into this main card. Where'd we start? Another old dog in the park, Clay Guida going up against Rafa Garcia.
Yeah.
Rough night at the office, man.
Yeah, but you know what? How fun is Clay Guida to watch?
If Clay Guida's on the card, you're in for an entertaining night.
I mean, he's another one. He's got to be almost 40 years old. He's got to have over 50 fights. This guy comes in, he's bouncing around. His brother's smacking him in the face. Like, this guy, I'll never get sick of watching him fight. Like, he's given us so many fun fights. I just had an image of him and, who was it? Him and Diego Sanchez just rock 'em, shock 'em robots against the cage, and they're dropping and they're popping back up. Like, dude, like every time this guy fights, it's fun. He walked into a killer on Saturday night, though. I mean, I'll tell you what. Remind me of his name.
Rafa Garcia.
Rafa, dude. Rafa, first of all, he has sick wrestling that he never used once. Didn't even look for a takedown. You could tell Clay wanted the takedown, but literally there was no opening. Like, Rafa's footwork, and he was never out of place to get taken down. So you could tell it was frustrating for Clay. Couldn't really get in. Rafa sat behind the jab, the 1-2s all night. That was the story of this fight. It was clean, crisp, simple, straight punches from Rafa, and looked incredible. Like, he got the job done with 1s and 2s. He literally did not need any of his other tools.
I don't know how many other things he really threw in that fight. Thinking back on that fight, maybe a few kicks in there or whatever.
Or one or two.
The jab
hooks.
was the story.
Yeah, 1s and 2s, and I mean, And again, if you go back, I watched some of his fights like leading up to it. He's got excellent wrestling. And I couldn't believe he didn't shoot not even one time. Maybe he knows the scrambles with Clay are going to be tough because Clay never gives up. Clay's also a lifelong wrestler, you know, so it's like maybe he just didn't want to expend the energy or let any, you know, just he didn't want to leave any space where he could put a question in people's minds about how that fight was going to go. He kept it on the feet. He kept his own distance that he liked. Popped that jab. I don't even know how. He probably 100 times. And we got, you know, took out.
That's really all you, that's all you got to see right there is your reaction. You know what that fight reminded me of, the like GSP-esque, that jab against, man, it's really blowing me away that I can't think of this. The wrestler, the national champion wrestler.
Johnny Hendricks?
No.
Josh Koscheck?
Yes,
Koscheck?
there it is.
Yeah.
That's the fight that I instantly thought of when I was watching it, because he just stuck behind his jab and threw out some 1-2s, stuck to the jab, and just really controlled the fight from beginning to end. Forward pressure for most of the fight, which we usually see Clay Guida putting on the pressure on people, but I guess Garcia made it a point not to let that happen because maybe that would have fell into the takedown more.
Well, the jab was such a trigger. It was just a piston, right? So Clay would bounce left, bounce right, circle, bounce, and then as soon as he would take one step forward, pop, and then back him up. And then he would take a step, and then Clay would go to the left, and go to the right, and then do a little dance, and then step in again, pop. Like, he never was able to get anything going. Like, and didn't have to do anything else. He said, okay, you're going to move around, make yourself look tired, and then maybe that was the wrong choice of words. Clay Guida never looks tired. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. You expend all your energy. As soon as you come to me, pop, and then I'm going to take that space that you back up. I'm going to take that space. You're going to dance around. You're going to come towards me, pop. I'm going to take that step. It was like clockwork. It was beautiful. I want to see him in there with a better, no shade on Clay Guida, but I'd like to see him in there with like a very high level striker and see how that boxing looks against somebody who's got, you know, good hands and good kicks.
Yeah, with the boxing into the offensive wrestling, because he's a great wrestler. We'll see what that offensive wrestling looks like, and
mix
everything else that he has in his arsenal.
Yeah, exciting guy. I'm excited to see what comes next for him.
Very strong record, so he's on the up and up, I believe. Shout out to both of those guys, starting off the main card hot and just continuing to get better. Pedro Munoz and Chris Gutierrez. I'll preface it by saying Chris Gutierrez's style for me is I love his style just because of how, like, that's kind of my style, so I guess I'm a little biased on why I like it, but I just love the kickboxing style that he has, the setups, the feints, all that other stuff. But Pedro Munoz just shut it down. Just pressure, and more pressure. Shut it down.
That one was kind of bizarre for me to watch because I thought Gutierrez, he does have, like, it's just like a kickboxer, you know what I mean? But he's got weird angles and weird setups, and like he kind of throws things at you. He usually is very good at throwing people off their game with crazy strikes from every angle, right? And I'll tell you what, remind me, say it again, the other guy.
Pedro Munoz?
Pedro Munoz has had his ups and downs in his career, right? But, I mean, if you take away the Sean O'Malley thing, that was like kind of a recent weird,
right?
You know, that one was a little bit weird, but he's had a lot of ups and downs, but he's fought like the top guys. Gutierrez is on his way up. He just like made a huge statement when he put out Frankie Edgar like that. I was kind of riding Gutierrez going into the fight. But man, oh man,
Pedro Munoz.
We're like both of us. We're kind of like off today. I can't.
Names are really blanking.
Yeah, dude.
tonight.
I need to eat some lion's mane or something and get some good sleep because I'm like not doing so hot. Pedro Munoz literally like never missed a step in this fight. Like he was right on it. I think he's got maybe a little bit more experience in like the bigger fights with the bigger names. Yep. And like you said, Tyler, I mean, he really never looked better. I mean, he was incredible. Totally shut his game down.
Yeah, he really did. And Pedro Munoz going into this was on a 3-fight losing streak. So I'm sure he had a little bit extra chip on his shoulder to get one back, especially against a big prospect.
Yes, needed to win. That one was supposed to kind of like get him out of there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was one for Chris Gutierrez to make a name for himself, and it was one for Pedro Munoz to get himself back in line, back straight. But I want to say Pedro Munoz dropped them in the first, so I think I don't want to say that played into it, but that definitely has an effect when you get dropped going for the rest of the fight, because it looked like Chris Gutierrez was a little timid just because that left hook that Pedro Munoz dropped him with just kind of stunned. It flash dropped him. Like, it came out of nowhere, so that probably played a part in how it went.
That's a great point, Tyler. I mean, I think you're spot on with that. If a guy, you know, and this is the thing, right? Like usually if you see somebody get a little bit hurt or a little bit rocked in the first round, it's not always a bad sign. Like sometimes you got to like wake up a little bit, and those shots tend to do it. On the flip side of that coin, you get hit hard and you're like, that can't happen again. And it could make you a little hesitant. And when you're doing that in this fight, like, you really can't be hesitant even for a second. You know what I mean? It was a good fight for the third time.
Pedro
Munoz, dude.
I just kept saying it, so it's clicked in my head.
I gotta like write it down, but oh my goodness, Pedro Munoz looked great. Totally. I mean, he did a great job. Let's move on.
Back in the win column.
Before I have to say his name again. Golly.
Back in the win column, Pedro Munoz. We'll see what Cruz Gutierrez comes back with. He's a great kickboxer. I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah.
But moving on, because the names are not in our bag today.
Watch the guy fight 20
your boy,
times.
Cutelaba, looking like a maniac, takes out Tanner Boser in his, I want to say, coming up from middleweight, right? For his light heavyweight debut, right?
No. He came down from heavyweight.
Oh,
he was a heavyweight.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. And yeah, I don't know why I thought he came up from middleweight, but yeah. Unfortunately, didn't get it done, but what a fight while it lasted.
Yeah, and this was another one, I think, where it was you're sort of setting up one guy to have like a shiny new coat on his career, and it looked like if Cutelaba would have lost this fight, he would have more than likely been cut. Look, Cutelaba's always, I mean, he's exciting I guess. Like he's
a psychopath.
He's kind of a freaking goofball, man. But, you know, I mean, he does put on some entertaining fights, and even like his weigh-ins and the face-offs, like he's always doing some crazy stuff, but like that stuff only is like cool if you're winning fights. Right? So like
agreed.
Yeah. So like when you see him do all that wacky stuff and then get like TKO'd constantly, it's like, let's just win a fight. But with that being said, he came out and wins a fight against a former heavyweight, and he kind of made it look easy. He put hands on him, dropped him, finished him. Like it was pretty. I'm a little surprised that Tanner Boser didn't have a little bit more, especially after competing against heavyweights. Like you'd have thought that his chin would have been solid and that he wouldn't have gotten like a flash knockdown. But he did, and Cutelaba is a vet, no matter how goofy I think he is, and he jumped on the finish, man. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the punches you don't see, so more so than the power. So you could have just not saw it coming, and that's what happens when you don't see a punch coming. You wake up in a few minutes.
I wonder if, I mean, Boser looked good to me. He looked like this is the weight class he belongs in. However, I'm wondering how his weight cut went, because he never actually had to do this weight cut. And if he had to like kind of rush to get the last 8, 9, 10, 15 pounds off in the last couple days, that's going to affect your brain. And, so
for sure.
I'm curious if anything comes out about that, how his cut went. If I interviewed him, that'd be the first thing I asked him. How did the weight cut go? Because I'm sort of surprised to see him go out that easily to strikes.
Especially because if you're a heavyweight, most likely you don't have to cut weight, except for those very few. But if you're making the cut down to light heavyweight, you're definitely not cutting heavyweight. You'll never make 205. So this is probably one of the first, well, not the first time, but this is the first time he's had to cut weight in a while. So that I think your point is spot on. It probably definitely had an effect, but to what extent, we don't know.
Yeah,
We
maybe
asked him.
Cutelaba just landed a good shot. Like, I don't want to take anything away from him either, but just it seemed a little suspect to me. I couldn't really believe it that a heavyweight, went down like that due to strikes. That, especially that early, like, you'd think Tanner Boser could take a shot, man. So
yeah. So I mean, interesting fight. Cutelaba got it done. He's a very interesting cat, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a character, man. He's a character.
He's something else. Sticking in the light heavyweight division, we got Dustin Jacoby. Oh man, this name is gonna really mess me up.
Not that hard.
These names tonight.
I know. This one's not that bad.
Murzaka. I don't have it. Murzakhanov.
There it is.
All right, there we go. Good Lord, these names tonight.
This fight,
not the most interesting fight, if I'm being honest. Like, I'll just tell it how it is. Azamat, I'm gonna call him Azamat. I hope that's right. Won the first two pretty decisively. I mean, you can put up an argument, I guess, but most eyes, he won rounds 1 and 2, and then kind of just coasted for 3. And Dustin Jacoby almost took advantage of it and got him out. But
yeah, Jacoby came on really strong in the third. The third round was by far the most exciting round that there was. That fight, I mean, you were pretty spot on with that. They kind of just, it seemed like they both were kind of playing it safe until it was a little too late. Too little too late for Jacoby, that's for sure. And, I mean, they're both good, so I can't hate, It's like, I'm not trying to say they're bums, but, like, it seemed like they were both kind of in this, like, it's like a fight's only 3 rounds. You only got 15 minutes. So, like, what are you waiting for? Like, you got to go get him. And it seemed like I think the fight would have been very different if Jacoby had that energy from the beginning. But Murzakhanov, say it for me.
Murzakhanov.
I'm happy about it because I'm pretty sure he trains in New Jersey, so that's kind of cool. We're from New Jersey. He trains in New Jersey.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think he's up north, so I'm happy to see a Jersey guy win. And whatever.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win. A win's a win. That's I don't really have much, if I'm being honest. Like, it was a cool fight. You guys did what you had to do. But
a win's a win. It's on your record. It's not one for your highlight reel.
Yep. Let's get a highlight reel next fight.
Yeah, if you want to make big name for yourself in this day and age, like, you got to put it all out there. Like, you have to.
Yeah. It's a dangerous sport you play, but you do have to. Sometimes you need to highlight.
Yeah, I mean, this is the game. Like, these guys out here that are calling people's names, like, I'll bring that up again. If you're calling people's names out and you're fighting, like, like, you really want to be in there fighting, like, those are the guys that are going to be on billboards. They're going to make millions of dollars. They're going to be on the video game. Like, that's what everybody says that they want. So it's like, if that's the guy you want to be, it's like, here's your platform. Go.
Yeah.
here's your opportunity.
Yeah,
And I also understand competing. Sometimes you just like don't have a good day. Sometimes you just don't show up. Sometimes your legs just aren't there. I get that, but we'll move on.
Let's talk about a highlight reel KO in this co-main event with Edson Barboza is back against Billy Q. Wow. Edson Barboza, just when you thought he was kind of getting up there in age, getting up there in fights, he goes out and does that?
Tyler, I counted him out, bro. I counted him out. Billy Quarantillo, man, has been looking so good. He hasn't fought not nearly the level of fighters that Edson Barboza has. So we'll get that out of the way right off the bat. But Billy Quarantillo, man, has been looking like so good. And, he did his thing in the UFC. I think he was on Ultimate Fighter, didn't make it.
Yep.
Went to another organization, fought his way back up through the ranks, got his spot on the Contender Series, back in the UFC now. And I love this guy. This kid's style is so fun. Like, I love it. He marches forward. He's putting body shots and hooks and kicks, and he wants to get to that clinch and throw knees and upper. He loves that dirty boxing, like clinch range, and he'll back you up to the cage. He's almost like Justin Gaethje, and you know how I love me some Justin Gaethje. He wants to put hands on you, back you up, get you so you can't run away from him, and then just chop you down with body kicks and uppercuts, and it's just a very exciting style to watch. I was hanging off Billy Q's nuts so hard going into that fight. And then you got Barboza coming out here 36, 37, I'm guessing. But dude, Shredville. Shredville. Man. How this guy has the best physique on the roster right now is beyond me. He used to train in New Jersey too. Edson Barboza used to train in Jersey, I think.
He trained at Nick Catone, no?
No, I don't think it was Nick Catone. I thought it was
Ricardo's?
It was Frankie. I thought it was at Ricardo's.
I'm pretty sure it was
or
Frankie,
Dante Rivera. It's either Dante Rivera's or Ricardo Almeida. He was like one of the Jersey guys. And I think he said that he's been training in Florida with the American Top Team now. So I don't know what kind of nutritionist they got him, or they're doing strength and conditioning. I don't know what they did to him, man, but he looks like a young man. He looks like a cyborg. Incredible, man. Another one, I said it about the knee before. He threw that knee with absolutely zero. Like, we all know Edson Barboza's kicks are always powerful, and he doesn't telegraph in any way. He just throws, and it's going to hurt you. Like, that's always how he's always been, like a one strike at a time. But like, if he kicks your leg, it's gonna fly off. If he punches you with a cross, it's gonna like really hurt. He's got so many knockout highlights. And it's usually like one or two strikes. Not like a big combinations guy.
Okay.
But the pressure was coming forward, and he just like lifted his knee up. Like, it looked like a warm up. Like, when you're like doing high knees, it looked like his knee just came up.
Boink.
Billy Q down, crumbled to the mat. Didn't need any follow-up shots. I think he threw one in there. But boy, oh boy, what a statement. What a statement that was.
My God. I mean, what more is there to say?
I know, man.
Just a seasoned vet going out there and doing seasoned vet things.
Yeah.
His highlight reel is just too long at this point.
It's crazy. And Barboza, man, he's just another one of those guys where like you could be like, oh, he's lost this many fights out of his last 10. But then you go and like look at who he fought. They're all world champions. Like, they're all Hall of Famers. Like, this guy's been in there with everybody. So, still doing the damn thing, man. And Billy Q is a he's no joke. He is not just like some guy. That kid like is gonna be in the top of the rankings someday. And you know, a little bit of setback when he ran into Barbosa. Barbosa looked incredible, but holy smokes. Like that one
Maybe it's what he's needed.
That one really surprised me.
I was ready. We didn't do a breakdown on it, but I was ready to pick Billy Q, if I'm being honest. I'll own
dude,
that one.
This was me swinging off Billy Q's nuts all week long. This was me.
I mean, I wasn't that extreme, but I was just in my head. I thought the pressure of Billy Q was going to get to Edson, and I didn't think he was going to be able to get his strikes off as well as he usually does, just because I think he would have back on the cage the whole time. But man, did he prove me wrong?
Yeah, exactly. And we've seen that game plan work against Barbosa before. You know, kind of crowd him and clog him up so he can't fire off these crazy knockout shots at you.
These baseball bats of legs that he has.
Yeah, he's gonna hurt you if he touches you. So but people have worked with it and they figured it out. But Billy Q, man, I was very high on him, and Edson kind of did his thing, man. Hats off to Edson Barbosa. That was beautiful.
He did the damn thing.
Yeah.
I don't know where Edson goes from here. I don't know. I don't know what he does from here.
Is he still ranked? Is he top 15?
I'm not sure.
If he is,
I don't know.
He's got to be in that 15 range. I don't know if he's actually like has a number. If he does, it's 14, 15, something like that. I mean,
it's gonna be tough to match him up.
Give him somebody with a similar ranking. He asked specifically, give me somebody that's, again, call somebody out, and they all know who's matched up and who's not, right? Like, you would think that they follow enough to know who their peers are fighting. I would have looked at the rankings, said, I want to fight this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. Okay, these two are already going to fight scheduled, so those two are gone. This one's ranked this one's ranked this. Call them both out on the mic after that knee. You get people talking. Like, that's what you got to do. He just said, give me somebody ranked higher. Whatever. I mean, that's good enough, I guess. Like,
Yeah, he'll get someone. I'm excited to see who it is. It'll be interesting, especially at featherweight now. The featherweights are loaded. Billy Q, he'll be back, I'm sure. He's a big prospect.
Yeah, and Barbosa's still a name. He's still a name that people know. He's still a fighter that people... I mean, Justin Gaethje came out and said that Barbosa was like, had Gaethje shook. Someone asked Gaethje, they were like, have you ever been like scared of somebody? He was like, dude, Edson Barbosa was like kicking people's legs off and like putting them in the shadow realm. So like, that guy is scary. You know, he's going to like hit you very hard. And everybody knows who he is. He'll be around, man. I'm excited to see what he does next, because still doing the damn thing, man. Good for him.
Yeah, he's doing the thing. And someone else who's doing the thing. The best is blessed.
Oh.
And to beat the best, you got to be the best. You got to beat the best. And it's still the Blessed Express.
The Blessed Express, baby. Choo choo.
My God.
Go.
Max Holloway doing Max Holloway things. Just winning fights.
Yeah.
Beating contenders.
Yeah.
He's the best. Not named Alexander Volkanovski.
I know, and you know it's funny, this whole thing that happened with Izzy and Pereira may have been the best thing that ever happened to Max Holloway, because Izzy was down 3 fights to none, and then he came out and laid Pereira out. Granted, you know, we already broke down the Izzy and the Pereira fights, so we won't get too deep into that. We all pretty much thought Izzy was winning all of those fights until he wasn't, right?
Yep.
Now, when you look at Max and Volk, and we'll get into the Arnold Allen fight in a second, but I just want to like paint this picture. Max and Volk fought the first time. They fought 3 times all the way through to decisions, right? So what is that? 15 rounds, bro. Insane. The first fight was very, very close. And I'm on the side of like, you have to beat the champion convincingly to become the champion. If I was a judge that night, maybe I'm a little biased because I love Holloway, I would have given Holloway that fight, the first fight. I thought he did enough to keep his belt. They didn't go that way. Okay, fine. The second fight, I thought that one was even a clearer win for Max.
And
they went to Volk. And it's like, wait, now he's 0-2 against the guy, but like, I kind of thought he won them both. Then the fight that throws all of this out the window, the third fight, because Volk kind of whooped his ass in the third fight, made it not look so close.
It wasn't close.
It
really wasn't.
So then now all of a sudden we're like, man, what do we do with Max? Because, dude, this guy beat down Kattar, beat down Ortega, beat down Yair. Like, who's in this division? Then you got the young Englishman, Arnold Allen, who has looked so good. And I mean, we did our breakdown of the fight. We shot it kind of early, and there's a lot of
we
stuff.
were a little early.
And there's a lot of stuff that I like kind of wish that I talked about a little bit leading up into that fight. Because Arnold Allen, man, like, first of all, his father's a bodybuilder, right? So he just has
He was
like
an MMA fighter as well.
Did he fight?
Yep.
He fought?
He did.
That's cool. I didn't know that. But you could see that this kid is strong, bro. Like, he's just got like the genetics of like a freak athlete for sure, right? He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's smart and witty, and he's got some personality. It's a little bit like dry English humor, but he's still like a cool young guy who's a freak athlete and a really good fighter. He put the beat down on Dan Hooker, like pretty rough beat down. And he did that thing where he kind of just went like berserker. He like saw red and just started firing off hooks, and like and Dan Hooker's not going to back down, and like, you know, eventually he crumbled. This is where I wish that Calvin Kattar fight went the whole way through, because we would have learned a lot more about Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen would have learned a lot more about himself in that fight. And that might have been the fight he needed to really get all the way through, to be prepared for something like Max. Dude, Max Holloway, and I said this to you the other night, he's a titan in this division. If you even think you're going to come close to touching the championship belt, and you can't even think about
fight,
you have to beat Holloway before you even get a chance at the belt.
Yair, you know what's crazy?
Yair just got beat by Max and got a shot at the belt. Couldn't even do it. And they're like, fuck it, man. Just go, because we already did the Max thing. Yeah. It's wild, dude. Like, Max is the king without a crown right now. And oof. I'm going to let you talk about it, because I'm sure you have some thoughts on it too, but I have to talk about the technical aspect of this, because there's a lot of fans aren't going to know what they're looking at exactly, right? The way that Max can switch stances and then is always staying outside the lead foot at all times. Like, these guys, both of their footwork was so immaculate. Right, that's a good word for it. That's a word from our gym that comes up a lot. Immaculate footwork, right? Every time these guys, one would move that way, they would switch. They're staying outside the front. Like, this was such a real dance. This was a real fight. Arnold Allen clearly looked like he belongs with the big boys up at the top of the division. However, without having that full Kattar fight, without having maybe another one or two guys in the top 5, like real tough tests, he didn't fight Yair, he didn't fight Ortega. Without getting through some of those guys, to jump straight to Max, the king without a crown, you're going to have a hard time, man. Like, Max is just too technical. He's just too good. He threw like 100 significant strikes within like the first 10 minutes. It's like, this guy's too good. And Max, to your point, man, he just is doing Max things. Like, he switched his style a little bit. He said he didn't want to get hit as much. So he was kind of playing a little safer, and Arnold Allen was still touching him up. Like, he still got through a whole bunch of times. But as the very end of that 5th round would indicate, as soon as Arnold was like, I'm going to do that berserker thing that I do, soon as he started doing the brawler thing, Max almost knocked him out. And I think, and if Arnold had gone with that game plan earlier, I think we would have seen a stoppage by Max. Max was almost waiting. He was prodding that. He was waiting for that brawler to come out. Max is not afraid to throw down.
Oh, man.
He welcomes that. That's where he does his best work, is when he's got somebody just going crazy swinging, and he can just pick his shots, you know, catch you while you're coming in. That's where Max shines always. So, I'm spinning out right now. I'm fucking lost. But
a million miles an hour.
I am, because there's just like so much going on. But Holloway looked just as good as he's always looked. He's the king without a crown. Arnold Allen, I think, may have gotten rushed to this spot just a little bit. He's clearly belongs there, but I wish he would have had a knockdown, drag out fight before this with maybe an Ortega or maybe a Yair, just to kind of feel those deep waters before getting in there with Max. I think you could have given Allen two. When I scored it, I gave him 2 and I gave him 5 if you don't count the knockdown. Yeah, which, you know, obviously you have to. I could see this. I could see the 49-46. I could see the 48-47. I'm okay with all of that. Clear win for Max. But, you know, I think Arnold, I don't want to say Max had him shook, but I think just like that moment is very big. And it's like, I think there was a couple times where he went to himself, like, I'm fighting Max Holloway right now. And like I
agree.
And every time I swing at him, he's just not there. And then he hit me.
And then I hit him with my best shot, and he doesn't flinch.
He doesn't move, and then he hits me with 17 shots after I just gave him my best one. So it's like, damn, what do you do with that?
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, it's like, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
I want to mention this too. I know I'm going off on a lot on this one. Some people tell me I talk too much, but hey, that's what we're doing here.
That's what the show is about.
Yeah, for real. A lot of people leading up to this fight said that Arnold Allen was going to turn into like a wrestling stud. Now, Allen has good wrestling. We've seen it. We've seen him have submissions. We've seen the grappling skills from Arnold Allen. But like, y'all must have forgot who's got like some of the very best takedown defense ever, who's been submitted like one time when he was like, 20 years old by a Dustin Poirier. Like, give me a break, dude. Like, you're not going to just grapple Max Holloway because you think that that's what you're going to do. Like, if that's your game plan, go watch the Ortega fight. Go watch the Yair fight. Like, go watch he's faced the best grapplers in the division and never had a problem keeping it on his feet. So for the people who were like, oh, why didn't he wrestle? It's like, because he couldn't.
You can't.
There was no moment where, oh, there's the leg, or I'm going to set something up with the strikes and go in for the shot. It's like Max already hit you 3 times and he started circling outside your lead foot. So it's like, you just, by the time it's like, what do you mean? It's like, by the time you reset and find him again, he's already hit you, you know. Max is just so good, man. He's one of the, I can't believe Volkanovski. Like, how good is Volkanovski?
That's my question. How good is Volkanovski?
How good is this guy? Because Holloway makes everybody look like they're not on the level.
Dude. And there's still not a blueprint. There's still not really a blueprint on how to beat Max Holloway. He's been beat, but nobody can replicate what Alexander Volkanovski did to him in that division. You just can't.
And even Poirier and Max looked very evenly matched. Poirier just had a little bit extra on the punches. He just had a little more sting because Poirier's been walking around at 170 and 155 for much longer than Max. Max like tried it out. Max is a 45er.
Against the guy like Dustin Poirier. Yeah, let me try this out.
That's what I'm saying. So like Poirier just had a little bit more meat behind those punches, and that's what won the decision. Max's face was a little more beat up looking,
but he wasn't outmatched. By no means was he outmatched.
He was not outclassed by any means. Like he just like fought a bigger guy. That's why weight classes exist.
Yeah. There's... Like, if you can argue there's a blueprint to beat Max, it's almost southpaw. We've seen, like, I wish we did that breakdown a little later, because right after we did that, I was like watching things and seeing stuff, and Max has struggled with southpaws in the past. He's had trouble with them. Dustin Poirier is an example, but he fought other southpaws, and the video I watched, I forget what it was, but he had trouble against southpaws, and that was one of my questions. I was interested to see what he would do against a southpaw in Arnold Allen. And for the majority of the fight, Max was southpaw. So when he came out southpaw, I was like, oh, this is probably his game plan here. This is interesting.
He switched a lot. I mean, he was switching all night. Yeah, I mean that's a good point, Tyler, and that's maybe somebody sees something that I personally don't see, but it didn't really look like Arnold Allen didn't really have much for Max Holloway. And I'm a big Arnold Allen fan. I really am. Like he's sort of, a lot of people call him the dark horse of that division. Has a lot of potential, but Max is
the best.
He's that guy, bro. The best is still blessed. Come on, man. How do you not love? He's hugged up with DC, talking about you owe me barbecue. Like at his post fight thing, he's like, I forgot it was my wedding anniversary. I got to go somewhere with my wife, and they're like, oh, come on, you're in Kansas City, and he like kind of was like, look, she's like a professional surfer who's traveled the entire world, who loves the ocean, and not for nothing, but we're like Hawaiians. Like, I'm not bringing her to Kansas City. Like, we got to go somewhere special.
We're the farthest away from an ocean as pretty much possible.
Yeah, literally in the middle of farms. But
there's a hypothetical I was thinking about. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
If you want to get into hypotheticals here, we talked about Yair getting the title shot after not beating Max Holloway. I can see a world where Arnold Allen goes through that exact same process and gets a title shot without beating Max Holloway. I think Max called, I don't know if he specifically called him out, but he wants the Korean Zombie next. So saying he gets that, Yair and Volk fight, Arnold Allen maybe fights again, gets a win. He can slip right in if Max is all caught up with the Korean Zombie. Emmett. It's very possible. Josh Emmett's fighting Taporia.
Oh.
That fight's announced. So maybe that winner gets it. But there's a world where Arnold Allen can get in it without having to fight Max again.
Maybe Ortega? Who do you give Arnold Allen at this point? Is Ortega have a fight coming up?
I watched an interview with the Schmo. Ortega said he's not. I think he's going to start like 100% training after a shoulder injury, like in a few weeks. So he's not even like fully training yet.
It's not like,
so I can only imagine how long he's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's a weird world.
This division's kind of a mess too, the more I think about it, man, because you got Volk, who beat the number one contender 3 times. You know, either one of them could move up and leave the division to the other guy. They could both move up and just be in the mix at 55. I wouldn't even be mad about that. 55's already so deep. Just let these other guys at 45 figure it out. I don't know about Max calling out the zombie. That to me, if you did that 5 years ago, I would have been all for it. Zombie took a beating from Alex Volkanovski, and I love the Korean Zombie too much to see him take another beating like that. And I love Max, but I don't want to see that at all, to be honest. Max would butcher him.
Yeah, it'd be a long 5 rounds because he probably wouldn't finish him for a little while, and it would just kind of just.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to count out the Korean Zombie like that, but I just don't see it going any other way except for a Holloway doing his thing like normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be super stoked to sign up to see that, but I guess we'll just see what happens. I mean, we'll see. Damn. Maybe Yair shocks the world, and maybe Alex moves up after a loss. Like, obviously, Alex would get an immediate rematch if that's what he wanted, which, I'm sure he wants to do the champ thing. Maybe go fight Connor like I talked about. That'd be kind of...
Hey.
We'll see. We'll see what happens in the division, man. What else you got? We wanted to touch on a couple other things outside the card.
Yeah, we got... So the Jon Jones and Stipe whole news, I take this with a grain of salt because I don't know what's confirmed and what's not confirmed, but originally it was supposed to be International Fight Week in July. That doesn't sound like it's happening. It sounds like it's going to be either late summer, early fall. I don't know whose side it's on or who's the problem here, but I was really hoping to see that International Fight Week with him, Stipe, Volkanovski, Yair. That card would have been insane.
I don't understand what's going on with the whole thing because you got both guys that keep jabbing at each other, jawing all this stuff, and the fight's not happening. It's like, wait, but you both want to fight, right? Like, you both are keep saying, I took the fight. I took the fight. Well, which one of you isn't taking the fight? Like, what's the holdup? Because that's a great fight. I mean, that's a fight. That's a legacy fight for both of these guys.
Dude, who's saying no to that fight?
It's the fight that has to be done right now, minus a Francis Ngannou. That's the fight that has to happen right now. There's no one else really at heavyweight for either one of these guys. I mean, there's guys that would come up, and obviously the belt would go wherever the belt goes. But, like, as far as legacy goes, these two guys that are sort of at the end, not I don't want to say the end, but, like, they've already kind of beat their generation of fighters. There's a next generation coming up. But, like, these guys need to fight. If this fight doesn't happen, it'll be like a travesty.
That would be the biggest fumble in UFC history. You got the greatest heavyweight of all time versus the greatest of all time. At least in my eyes, he's the GOAT for me. But there's no other fight, like you said. There's just no other fight that has to be even considered. We have to make this fight. International Fight Week would have been prime time for this. It's disappointing. Like, it hurts. That
it is, man. And this is where you kind of scratch your head and look around and go, what is Francis Ngannou doing? The dude walked away from, like, arguably, like, two of the biggest heavyweight fights in history of MMA, and he's unemployed. He's got no job right now. He's not even talking. He's not even putting out, giving out applications. Like, just nobody's hiring. You know what I mean?
We're closed.
Yo, dude, no vacancy. Like, there's just nothing going on in the world of Francis Ngannou, which is a sin.
It really is. Dana went on an interview and said that Francis Ngannou will never fight in the UFC again. So that ship has sailed. He's not coming back.
I don't know if I believe Dana.
I believe it. I don't think he's coming back. Ever.
I think Dana's a little salty, but if Francis called him and said, hey, give me a 2-fight deal, I'll fight Stipe right now for the trilogy, and I'll fight Jon Jones after I beat him, Dana would do that 100%. There would be some negotiation. Dana's not, he's a spiteful guy maybe, and, like, he does.
But he's a businessman.
Now he pissed you off, but he's a businessman. He would do it. I wouldn't be surprised if he got in all the other promoters' ears and said, don't hire this guy, let him go back to digging coal mines or whatever.
Yeah. Oh man,
because you know how, because that's how Dana is, bro. Like Dana can like, he tried to like destroy Ariel Helwani. Like he's gone out of his way to like mess up people's careers before. It's not above him to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what a little bit of what was going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I heard the president of Bare Knuckles say that like Francis like wanted like way too much money. It's
I
like
heard that too.
It's like you priced yourself out of the league. You think just because that's what you were going to get from the UFC, or that's what you were asking from the UFC, that like this promotion that's been around for like 2 years, you think they're going to pay you like $20 million, $50 million, $100 million? Like, who told you that boxing? See, this is the internet's fault. Listen to me right now, everybody on the internet. Everybody always saying, well, the boxers get paid. No, they don't. Unless your name is Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, there's less than 10 boxers. Most of you out there can't even name 10 boxers. Let's stop lying to yourselves. None of them are getting paid, besides those guys. None of the hundreds of other boxers that you've never heard of are getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars to take these fights. It's just not happening. So now it's like, well, what is Francis doing? Now he's got no job because he didn't want to take, $8 million plus pay-per-view points. He probably would have made $20 million off a Jon Jones fight. Now he's sitting out. And guess what? As a segue, guess who has a fight? Nate Diaz.
Nathan
Diaz is out of the company for a few months, and he's signed to fight Jake Paul. He's doing things. He's doing it. He's already doing it, bro.
Do you want to talk about that fight, or do you want to do a video on that fight, or should we talk about it now?
We could do a video on it, because that will be kind of fun. We'll do it when it gets closer, because it's like months and months away.
Yeah, we got a while.
But let me just say this.
Okay.
Nathan and Jake both have their own companies. So they're the ones that are promoting this. That's how you make a lot of money in the fight game.
Yep.
You're going to go promote your own fight. Let's make this happen. Let's get a venue. Let's get some cameras. Let's get a ring. We're both going to go in there together, and we're going to fight each other. And then we get to keep all the money. That's it, like that. Take a page out of the Diaz book, bro. He just did it right in front of you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we went off on a tangent, but we reeled it back in. I don't even know. Reel it back into Nate or Jon Jones and Stipe.
Well,
we went off. We just got
a little current. We got some current stuff going on.
Yeah, so we got that going on. We got the Nate Diaz, Jake Paul boxing. We'll probably talk about that. Francis Ngannou. RJ, you always have to point out Francis Ngannou is unemployed.
I think he made a mistake. I can't help myself.
But yeah, the only other current news that off the top of my head, Charles Olivera and Beneil Dariush were supposed to fight at 80. Oh man, I don't know. My numbers are off. They were supposed to fight under Henry Cejudo Aljo. They now got moved to 289, which is in Canada, in early June. So they got pushed back about a month. I don't know what happened. I think Charles got injured, but they're back. We're back. Top lightweights. Yeah.
I heard the same, an injury on Charles's side. If that fight didn't happen, I would have been like absolutely heartbroken. The card here in Newark definitely took a big hit not having those two guys fight on it. You feel for everyone involved, because now you got another month on top of your training camp. If Charles is actually hurt, that's not a great fight to go into hurt against Benny. Benny's been doing everything right for years. Now he's got to kind of deal with this. I even think I saw one thing where he was like, if this guy pulls out again, I just want my shot. Like, forget all of this. And you can't be mad at him. I think if Charles pulled out and they didn't reschedule it, I hope they would have just given Benny the next shot because he deserves it. That 1,000,000%. Benny's the guy. I'm happy the fight's still happening, and I'm very excited to watch it. But you know, it sucks when things like that happen. When I saw that it was off, I was like heartbroken.
Oh, dude, that hurt. But I want to see Benny fight for a title. Let's get him in a 5-rounder fighting for the title. He's fought everyone. Like,
great.
I don't want to see Charles Oliveira lose, but I also don't want to see Benny lose. Like, this is just gonna suck for whoever loses. But whoever wins is probably gonna get a shot next after that fight.
Yeah.
So
no,
whoever that is at the top, whether it's Islam or I don't even know who it might be, but whether it's Islam or whoever's up there, give that man the shot.
Yeah, it's going to be Islam, because he's probably not fighting during Ramadan.
Yeah, he'll be back in October.
And he'll just deal with whoever wins that fight, you know what I mean? And I don't know, he's already talking crazy stuff too, talking about all the super. He's like, he didn't even defend his belt against someone in his weight class. He already got one super fight. He's already talking about another super fight.
Yeah.
And it's like, shut the hell up.
Super fights happen after you clean out a division.
Exactly, bro. And the only reason you got the first one is because Volk did all the work. So it's like, you don't get to just go fight Leon. Like, that's not what's happening. Or whoever is champion up there. I wonder if he would sing that same tune if it was Colby or Hamza or somebody that could deal with his grappling a little bit more. I wonder if he'd be singing that same tune. Probably not. Yeah. He'd be like, you know what? I'm probably good at 55.
I'll defend 55.
Yeah, let me just get, is there any strikers?
After a featherweight just grappled with me, after a featherweight striker just held up in the grappling department with me, I'll stick to lightweight.
Yeah, for real. So, I don't know. I'm not super high on Islam yet, either.
If he defends, I'll be high on him. If he defends multiple times.
Yeah, look, man, it's not like I have anything personal against any of these guys. You watch what people do, but if you're going to talk about you're the greatest of all time, and it's like, bro, you literally you had a win streak, but he didn't fight any top guys to get his title shot. He hasn't defended against any of the top guys. Like, let's just hold your damn horses on all the I'm the best thing since goat cheese. Okay, let's just relax a little bit and go take some fights. And then if you keep winning them, I'll back you, bro. I'm all about it. It's all good. But I like the champions. I like the champions that are humble and that do the work. Izzy does the work, bro. He's fought everybody. He calls out the hardest fighters. Alex Volkanovski calls out, fights the hardest fighters. Always work it. Fights 2, 3, 4 times a year. Those are my guys, man. I love fighters that want to stay active, that aren't delusional. Everybody has to have that belief in themselves and that pride, a little bit of ego, but let's not be delusional.
Yeah, it's fair. Trying to promote, I get it, but take some fights. That's what the game is. We're fighting. It's championship fights, but you got any other current events you want to talk about? I'm out. I don't have anything off the top of my head right now.
The only other thing, it's kind of unrelated, I could just mention it, is Shane Burgos recently left the UFC. He's over at PFL, and he moved up in weight. And I'm very excited to see Shane Burgos fight at 155. I think that's the right move for him, and good luck to him. And that's pretty cool. So we'll stay tuned with that. PFL looks more and more exciting.
That's
all
fun.
The time. Yeah, it is. It's a good organization.
Yeah, but I got nothing left. I'm pretty tapped out on this episode. You got anything left?
Nah, if I think of anything, we'll just do another video.
We're an hour 20 minutes in. I think this is our longest episode, so you're welcome,
I think
guys.
is.
Putting on for the fans. UFC Kansas City, Jon Jones, Stipe, Islam, Charles. We covered a lot. It was a fun one. I'm excited to see where this UFC, all these divisions go. I think this was episode 8. I still don't know if it was episode 8, but I hope it's episode 8 when I go back and look. But that's all I got. You got anything left for the people?
Nah, I'm done. I'm tapped out. Much love. Like, comment, subscribe. Tune
What
in next
RJ
week.
said. Yeah, we'll be back next week. Maybe some in between, but like RJ said, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Peace. Oh, I hit leave.